part of what you start doing with stage 1, and then between your visits you can do. Law of attraction. I'm going to start moving a little faster. Law of attraction, a part of the law of attraction is that you always move toward and attract yourself whatever you're focusing upon with the greatest amount of vibrational energy. So wherever you put the most energy, most intent on, the more you're going to attract that. A lot of that happens subconsciously or unconsciously. Emotional energy is your most powerful vibrational output, what you're putting your emotion on in order to successfully rendezvous with what you want. You have to continue to resonate with it vibrationally. To go towards and meet up with what you want, you have to put your focus on emotionally and vibrationally what you want, as compared to what you don't want. The more you say what you don't want, the more you're yelling at it to come towards you. You always attract yourself and move toward anything that you keep feeling, whatever you're currently feeling. You will continue to attract feeling that. Every subject is actually two subjects. What you want and the lack of it. Many, many times, even when you believe that you're thinking about what you want, you're actually thinking about not having the exact opposite. This activates an emotional vibration that matches what you don't want. And this happens on a neurological level with your subluxation patterns too. And how can you tell which one you're thinking about? You have an emotional guidance system. Your emotional guidance system, you can tell by the way you feel at any given moment if you're more of a vibrational match to your desire or to its absence. Okay? Focusing on the absence of what you want, well, you can tell by what's your emotional state. If you're focusing on what you don't want, your emotional state is probably, you think it's going to be positive or negative? Okay. The more you can focus on what you want, what do you think your emotional state is going to be? Yes. And there's a place where you have to get your vibration and match of what you want your experience to be. If you feel joy, you're resonating more with what you desire. And if you feel fear or any other negative emotion, okay, you're more of a match to its absence. That's your guidance system. So once you understand this, you can begin to increase your awareness of your emotions. I'm trying to tell you this and teach you this because it'll help support you in your care and your spine changing as well. Because if the 6 inches between your ears are focusing on what you don't want, there's sets of health experiences that will match up with that. Okay? So you got to increase your awareness of your emotions and then intentionally direct those where you're headed in each moment. And this is crucial to remember because every action you take strengthens the vibration from which it is taken. And when you make a decision, you've got to ask yourself, am I making this decision from a place of fear? Or am I making it from a place of possibility? You could be choosing to get care from us, I can't control this, from a place of fear. You'd be choosing to get care from a place of, I don't want to have these symptoms. I don't want to experience what I'm having. You can also choose to be receiving care and coming to the office from the possibilities of what could happen to your health and well-being if your nervous system and your body function at a higher level. What could your experience of your life and health be? What would be the exciting, enthralling possibilities if my body continued to operate at a higher level? So that something won't happen or that something will happen. Are you choosing something to protect yourself or to expand yourself? Your emotional guidance system will direct you with that. Is this going to produce a feeling of relief from something or a joy for something? Most of our disease care system is based on fear and doing something to get less of something. You have all been trained from a very young age. You go to a doctor to get less of something that you don't want. What do you think that's doing to our healthcare system? Why do you think our healthcare system's bankrupt? You very rarely are taught to go to a healthcare provider because you want more. However, if health and well-being is constantly going on an upwards trend because you're getting a greater experience of your physiology, you're doing things because you want more. You want more joy. You want more vitality. You want to be able to do more. You want to be able to experience more. You want to have the ability to travel more. You want to be able to enjoy your grandkids. You want to get more joy out of your experience. When you eat your food, you want it to just be more enlivening. Health is about more. And you know what? People want that. And marketers and advertisers know that. And here's how they know it. You ready? Coke adds life. Right? Is that what they... Coke adds life.
Coca-Cola?
Isn't that their advertisement?
Oh, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Coke adds life.
God.
Do they tell you you're going to die sooner, you're going to get diabetes and cancer? No, it adds life.
What about cigarette ads years ago, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay? Because people want to add... Do people want to add life?
Yeah.
Yeah. Coke does it.
How do they do?
It did when it had cocaine.
Yeah.
The original
Okay?
formula, yeah.
But they're not going to tell you, do you take this and all this stuff? It adds life. That's what health is. So am I attempting to move away from something or towards something? Where is your focus? Have you ever had someone, ask them what they want and they only told you what they don't want? I want to lose weight. I don't want to die. I want to get rid of my debt. I don't want this pain. And they just keep looking at their debt. They keep looking at their debt. They keep looking at the debt. And what's going to happen? They're going to get more debt. Versus, I want to lose weight. I want to be fit and healthy. Let's do things to create the greatest level of fitness and health. Would you make different choices? However, you look at a lot of diet systems that will sell you a whole bunch of toxic stuff to put in your body, and somehow that's going to make you lose weight. But are they focusing on helping you be fit and healthy? I don't want to die. How about I just want to live? What a different state for someone who's diagnosed with a terminal condition. I want to get rid of my debt. I want to have abundance and prosperity. I stopped reading financial planning books a long time ago because after reading them, I realized that everything was about decreasing your means, decreasing your means, decreasing your means. How to, the books and books about how, if you cut this and cut this and cut this, that will add up over 30 years to $30,000. So look at how much that would add up. So cut this and don't go on that vacation and don't do this and don't do that. How about expanding your means? Let's focus on how can we expand our means, right? I want to get rid of my debt. I want to have abundance and prosperity. I don't want this pain. I want to be free to do the things I want to do. This is all about more, and this is all about less. This is health and wellness, okay? Because health and wellness is not just your pain. Physical, mental, spiritual, work, career, all of that together, family, and this is about disease. Every action you take strengthens the vibration from which it was taken. Why does this matter? If every action you take strengthens the vibration from which it was taken, and you make a decision based upon fear, the law of resonance is going to make sure that you continue to get only the things that keep you feeling fearful. You always attract yourself and move towards anything that will keep you feeling whatever you're currently feeling. You always attract yourself and move toward anything that will keep you feeling whatever you're currently feeling. If every action you take strengthens the vibration from which it was taken, and you make a decision based upon possibility, the law of resonance will make sure that you continue to get only things that keep you feeling grateful. You always attract yourself and move towards anything that will keep you feeling whatever you're currently feeling. So it's a process. So becoming a master of intention is a process that begins with the greater awareness of your emotional guidance system, of your feelings at any given moment. And what's necessary to increase your awareness of your feelings and move towards living a life of intention. This is where chiropractic is incredible. This is where network, your spine, helpful to people. Okay? How does chiropractic help? What's necessary to increase your awareness of your feelings, your emotional guidance system, is a clear neurological connection. If you don't have a clear neurological connection, you're disconnected, because that's what you learned to do your whole life. Your emotional guidance system, you're not so in tune with. The choices you're going to make are going to be different. So taking care of your spine, chiropractic allows you to function in the higher centers of your brain. Remember when we just did this exercise? This is why I did this exercise first. We did this with this. That puts you into the lower centers of your brain. The reptilian, fight or flight, adrenaline, cortisol. When you're in those centers of your brain, like you are with a reverse cervical curve, and your shoulders slumped, or any other parts of your body that could be doing on a micro level that may not even show up on your x-ray, but it shows up in your musculature, and you're holding your body that way, your body and those areas are going to the lower centers of your brain. The more your nerve system has a clear neurological connection, the easier you connect with what I did when you went up like this. The more you get extension in your physiology, you go to those parasympathetic states, you access the higher centers of your brain, the frontal cortex, the places that people make higher decisions from. Your higher brain functions, your higher self. Okay? And you can consciously and effectively use the law of attraction better. So it really does no good to learn about and understand the law of attraction if you can't consciously use it because you're stuck in those lower centers of your brain. Then it becomes a mental game that you try to do. But if your body, remember what I said about the people from UCLA looking in the mirror and doing it? If you change the angulation of the tissues of your body, the whole range of emotion, your ability to connect to that emotional guidance system and have clear neurological connection completely changes, and you're not stuck in the lower centers of your brain. So why does your level of neurological connection matter? Perception and interpretation of your environment are neurological processes. Interference in your nervous system prevents you from perceiving things. Remember I talked about perception, structure, behavior? Interference in your nervous system prevents you from perceiving things in their pure form. And it keeps you from responding to things in a way that's beneficial to you because you're responding to things the way you did from a trauma that happened 20 years ago. Because your nervous system's not in the now, but stuck in past events and in that lower brain center. Plus, the subluxation process takes your energy. Remember I said pressure in your nervous system like packets of energy. Listen to these recordings of Carolyn Mace years ago. Incredible person, incredible presenter. And she talked about people having, like, say you have 100 packets of energy, hypothetically. And you've got 10 packets going to what happened in your childhood, 20 packets going to your divorce, 30 packets going to a relationship breakup. And your body has all these things going on that happened to you during the 50 years of your life. You've got like 10 packets left for now. The subluxation process is literally your nerve system putting energy to those different areas. And it causes your body to use energy at greater than the normal rate. The body goes into survival mode. The highest centers of your brain are shut down. You end up using only the lower centers of your brain to interpret the world around you. And this affects every lifestyle choice you make. And most importantly, it affects your emotions. It affects your body's ability to perceive the whole range of emotions. Candace Pert, this is like big stuff. Candace Pert, an NIH scientist, wrote an incredible book called The Molecules of Emotion. And she said emotions don't happen in your brain like we think. They happen through your whole body. That's funny, like you think. Okay? They happen through your whole body. And literally, when someone says they have a gut feeling, they literally do. Because their molecules are literally happy molecules, sad molecules, angry molecules, joyful molecules. And those molecules are floating around through your bloodstream and through your physiology. And they have to link to, if people remember, their basic lock and key mechanism biology for things to link to the cell membrane to what happens for it to exchange. That's how you feel emotion. Those molecules of emotions are floating around, and if your cells are not, they're distorted, your body can't have the happy chemicals linked to the cells and for you to experience them. You can't only experience, say, the hate or the love or the sad chemicals or whatever. And so all those chemicals are floating around, but because your spine is subluxated, your nervous system is subluxated, it literally changes the morphology of the cells, and they can't get the molecules that they're supposed to. It's not unlike, if people remember the car, I know everything's digital now, but remember car dials for the radio, where you turn the dial and a little needle will go across. And all of a sudden you have the jazz station. You can go somewhere else, you got the heavy metal station. You go somewhere else, you got the Muzak station. How does that work? Because there's vibrations of light going through the air, and when you turn that dial, there's a metal filament, that the metal filament will all of a sudden be able to pick up one particular vibration of light that has encoded in it the heavy metal station. And then that stereo will play that through it. Now, what if, when you got in your car, it was like Possessed, like Christine from that Stephen King book. And when you got in the car, I read that as a teen, it was a great book. You get in the car, as soon as you close the door, the car turns on, and all you get is the heavy metal station. Full blast, the moment you're in the car till you get to work. Every time. No choice. Or, it was the jazz station all the time. Or it was the pop station all the time. Or the blues station all the time. That's what's going on in your body when you're subluxated. That's why we tell people you have to get adjusted regularly, because you need, guess what? Sorry to break it to you, sometimes you're going to need the heavy metal station. And sometimes you're going to need the jazz station. Sometimes you're going to need the blues station. I don't know if anybody needs the Muzak station. But you need to have a full range of that radio dial through your physiology. Otherwise, your emotional guidance system won't function for you properly to help you make the right choices, to make a different turn down the street, where you might meet the right person, or you might get a different job opportunity, or you might have a different experience because you made a different choice because there was a guidance system that said that you were able to connect to and listen to. Okay? What kind of feelings do you have when you're in survival? What will you move towards and attract when you have those feelings? So when you're in survival, what kind of feelings are you going to have?
Fear.
Fear, okay? When you move towards and attract those feelings, you always move toward and attract anything that will keep you feeling fearful. You'll continue to have those experiences. You'll get more injury. You'll get, all of a sudden you'll start feeling better, but you'll be fearful, so you have another physical accident. You'll have another car accident because you've got to go back into that state. You'll always move toward and attract anything that will keep you feeling whatever you're currently feeling. The universe moves towards resonance. Controlling your emotion, this requires you being able to access the higher centers of your brain. If you can't access your higher centers of your brain because your spine's like this, okay, you can't get to the prefrontal lobes or the neocortex in the new brain, then you cannot connect your emotional guidance system and utilize the law of attraction. 3 things are required to consistently use the higher centers of the brain. One, a deliberate and positive focus on moving towards what you want. So you have to decide, I'm going to focus on moving towards what I want. That's why those things that people think are silly, like vision boards and putting what you want on the screen of your computer and all of that kind of stuff, works because you focus on it. Okay? I had a person that made a person who made a slideshow of like all the things they wanted in life to music, and the first thing they did was this is my wasn't married, this is my wife, this is my bank account, this is like, it had pictures of all those things. That stuff works. You put your focus on it. So you have to do that. Deliberate, positive focus on moving towards what you want. A clear neurological connection. You need a clear neurological connection. Okay? And a healthy lifestyle. You have to supply yourselves with the things you need to know to grow, to function properly. So you can't have toxins in your body. You have to have good water in your body. You have to get good food in your body. So it has the resources to do all this. If you're putting toxic stuff in your physiology, with most people, I had a person the other day, she's like, I eat so healthy and clean, and they found like off the chart levels of mercury. She couldn't believe it in some test she did somewhere else. And so she's doing steps to do all that, but it's toxifying our body. We do that. We need to, toxins are everywhere. You have to get good stuff in there. Otherwise, again, you're going to be working, think about it. Will toxins affect your body to have a good emotional state? Absolutely. Not getting to the right water and nutrients is going to affect your body to have, good emotional state, of course. So you got to use this yourself. How do you live? Do you actively use the law of resonance to move toward wholeness? Is it possible that you may have been unknowingly causing the subluxation process and the lack of ease or dis-ease in yourself and your family? Because you're focusing on what you don't want, because you don't have a clear neurological connection, and you're putting stuff in your body that is sabotaging that. Causing the subluxation process causes dis-ease. What kind of stress beyond your internal resistance leads to subluxation process and dis-ease? Mental, emotional, physical, chemical stresses. When you think about dis-ease, do you get excited about the future, or do you feel somewhat fearful? Would you say that feeling fearful could accurately be called emotional stress? When you feel fearful, what's your posture like? Is it more health creating? Is it more what I had you do with this? You see people walking around the mall or walking around in the street and they're just like this. Man, what are they attracting? Play a little game. When you're driving your car, look at people in the other car and look at their posture and think, wow, what's going on in their spine? How are they holding their body? A lot of times when I look at when we people first come in, and none of you guys, but sometimes people when they first come in are not very nice, and I'm like, why are they so mean on the phone? Or why are they, our staff would be like, and you look at their exes, like, this is what they're living in. Think of feng shui. You've got to have everything in the right environment so that way things flow in your house, but how are things flowing in your body? And this is your real home that you have to live in. If you don't have good feng shui in here, okay, could we accurately classify the posture of fear as physical stress? Is the biochemistry of fear more helpful or more harmful? Could we accurately classify the biochemistry of fear as chemical stress? And what if your body's producing that over and over again? So actively using the law of resonance, when you talk about being clearly connected, healthy, and fully expressing life, do you feel fearful? Or do you get hopeful? Get excited? Clearly connected, healthy, and fully expressing life. Does that produce fear? Would you say that feeling hopeful raises or lowers your internal resistance to stress and your ability to heal? Do a little test at home. Go to your computer and Google the word hate and then Google the word love. And look how many results come up. Actually, the number of results for love is like 10 times the amount. Tells you what people want. So would you say that feeling hopeful raises or lowers your internal resistance to stress and your ability to heal? When you feel hopeful, is your posture more health creating or more dis-ease creating? What do you think? Think what you did with this.
That's health creating, right?
Yeah. Would you say that the posture of hope raises or lowers your resistance and resilience? It's going to raise it. Is the biochemistry of hope helpful or harmful? And would you say the biochemistry of hope raises or lowers your resistance and resilience? It's going to raise it. So what are you attracting? 3 things that are needed to consistently stay in the higher centers of the brain. Do you remember what they are? What are they? Stay in your higher centers. You need
Healthy lifestyle.
healthy lifestyle. What else? Clear neurological connection. And moving towards what you want. So you got to think, where's your focus? So is it on what you want to move toward? Being clear, healthy, moving toward wholeness and fully expressing life? Or is it on what you want to move away from? So that was one of them, right? What's your focus? So I'm telling you this because this will help you in care. Where's your focus? Is it? I had this conversation with a practice member the other day because every time she came in, all she told me was all the bad stuff. Every time. It was like, I think she had to actually tell me the bad stuff to give permission to be coming in. Like, if she was going to her doctor, there had to be something wrong, so she had to tell me the bad stuff going on. And I said, I finally said to her after like 5 or 6 minutes, I said, you know what? I know this is all going on. It's really significant, and I don't want to minimize it once off because I know how bad it is. My concern is where your focus is. What's your focus? And she said, well, because this pain and that pain. Okay. The more you focus on that, the more you're going to have more pain and symptoms. You've got to shift your focus towards what you want, okay, rather than what you want to move away from. So how does that relate? What should we focus more on? Our dis-ease or moving towards wholeness? Say it out loud. Commit to it. Okay, we're going to focus on moving toward wholeness. Why? Because wholeness and the full expression of life is the message of hope for the future that chiropractic offers us. Medicine's about disease and what makes people die. Chiropractic is about life and what makes people live. This is D.J. Palmer, the developer of chiropractic. Another great quote. D.D. Palmer, the discoverer of chiropractic, said the purpose of the chiropractic adjustment, the purpose is to reunite the man, the physical, with man, the spiritual. That was the purpose of the art that he developed, so that the finite may know itself as the infinite. Clear neurological correction. So what matters most is how you see yourself. Remember what I said about the UCLA?
Yeah.
Looking in the mirror. What's your perception? What matters most is how you see yourself. It's not about your family's spines. It's about your lives. Clear neurological connection. Focus on what you want. And healthy lifestyle, healthy choices. So thank you for being here. Hope I gave you lots to think and feel and do. Put it into practice. Don't make this a mental game, but put it into practice. And then tell me fun stories about what happens. Now, I will tell you,